Hey folks, Species 7 here. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me here today as we jump back onto Farm Sim 19. We are, of course, here in Minibrunn, wherever that is. And, well, what a morning, I tells ya. I baled up all of our straw. I baled up all of our hay. And I did it all while recording. But at some point during the recording, I guess my recording software crashed. Because when I went to render it, all the files said huge amounts of niggity bytes, as they usually do, but they all had the time listed as 0, which means the file never closed properly. And much like the old days of burning CDs, you could go through the whole thing. It could take as long as it was going to take, and then if it got to the end and went to write the closing file and didn't make it, the entire thing was a loss. Well, it's kind of the same thing here. Even if it successfully records everything, if it doesn't have that kind of stop point put onto it, it just crashes. Which is very common. I mean, that's more common than you might think in software. It's just usually you don't run into it. So the other weird thing was that right at near the end of the episode, like I got it done at about the 20-minute mark, and I went down and I grabbed the front loader and I was getting all ready to come up here, and I realized I couldn't find that bale fork. The one that I did all of this with and all of that with and over there with, and that I really liked. Yeah. It not only wasn't anywhere on the farm, it wasn't actually even in my mod folder when I shut the game down and went through the mods. So I thought, well, maybe the straw harvest thing that I turned off, but the thing is, that was added when I installed something else. It wasn't something else was installed when I added that. So that wasn't it. I hadn't deleted any mods, but like I said, it wasn't even in the mod folder. Like there was none. It wasn't turned on, it wasn't turned off, it just wasn't there. So I went on to the mod hub, and just for a minute there I thought, hey dummy, you just found it. But no, it's not there. You can look on the garage list and it doesn't list any bale fork. So we're going to have to buy a new one. I did go onto the mod hub and found a couple that looked similar. Well, one that looks similar and one that I know is a bigger version. So yeah, we're going to have to go and go buy one. Because all the bales are ready, but we're not. So let's grab our handy dandy Becker tractor here. I've already thrown the big weight on the back. And let's head over there. Yes, okay, it is still there. Yeah, and that was after having an already rather nerve-wracking morning. Now, as some of you may know, I just recently upgraded my motherboard. I went from a 6th generation Intel chip to a 9th generation Intel chip, and upgraded to actually a pretty darn nice gigabyte board. I had a X270 before gigabyte, and now I'm running a Vision X490. Let's buy our forks, shall we? But I was looking on the site today, Gigabyte site that is, and I realized, okay, I think this is kind of what I had. Sure. It's a lot less money. Dexter, don't just... Ugh. Sorry, folks. Hang on a sec. What the hell, man? Get down. Come on. Come on. Sorry about that. He usually stands up on me before he jumps up to find out if it's okay. No, he just comes running across the room and right between my desk and up onto my lap. Anyway, yeah, oh crap, did I already buy one? Oh, Dexter, you monkey. I don't think so. Hang on. Okay, it doesn't say I own one. Oh yeah, it does. Good thing I looked, man. Alright. Yeah, it's been that kind of day. But anyway, yeah, it looks sort of similar. So I bought a new motherboard, new processor, put all that in. Went pretty good. But I was on Gigabyte's site today, and see, I've had this issue every once in a while when I shut my computer down at night, like completely shut it down, because I do that at night. It's a good idea, by the way. Okay, what are the controls for this guy? Ew, there basically aren't any, so how do I... No? Okay, that does all of that. Oh, really? Both mouse buttons. Okay. Well, this is going to be different. But, yeah, okay, anyway, back to my ramblings. So I went to Gigabyte's site, and... Oh, no, let me go back here. So, when I'm shutting down, when I start up in the morning, sometimes it doesn't actually start up. It just goes into the BIOS and says it's had issues booting the computer. So all I do is click save and enter. Like, I don't change any BIOS settings, and it boots up just fine. Well, I was doing something the other day. Yeah, I don't like this one as much. And I clicked optimize settings and save. And what that did was, I don't know about other things, but one thing it did definitely was it turned off my XMP profile for my RAM. So my RAM went from running at 3200 megahertz back down to, what, 2166 or whatever the stock. Like, all RAM runs at the same speed. Anything above that is an actual overclock, right? You know, if you buy 3200 megahertz RAM, it is still 2166 megahertz. You're actually overclocking it to 3200. And that's fine. You know, it's why your motherboard supports that particular overclock, is because it is fine. Man, you don't have to suck those up very far for it to drop those bales, I'll tell you. That's kind of scary. So, I don't really want to be, you know, I've got 32 gigs of 3200 megahertz RAM in my computer. I don't really want to be running it at 2166. Like I said, the computer runs fine with the XMP enabled. It does everything fine. It just, every second or third time, it doesn't boot. Oh, that's weird. That's, yeah. And I don't like the whole 2 buttons to open close it thing. It's just weird. Just weird, man. Yeah, a little slower than the other one. There we go. So, I thought, well, let me go have a look on Gigabyte's site, see if there's any sort of, FAQ or anything where they go, okay, if this is happening, do this. Because these are pretty much newish boards, the Vision series. But I didn't find anything like that. No real surprise, I guess. But what I did find, and that I'd sort of forgotten about, was the fact that I am running a very early BIOS version. So I thought, well, maybe, because my old board supported that particular XMP profile perfectly fine. I ran the same 32 gig, 3200 megahertz RAM on that board, and it ran perfectly fine. Never had an issue. Recognized it right away, loaded the profile, and never had to change it. So I thought it'd be rather weird if a newer chipset on a newer board wouldn't be able to have at least that functionality. Oh, good. What have we done here? Why are you stuck? Oh, you're stuck on one hook? Really? Yeah, I'm not as big a fan of this one, I'm afraid. Not at all. If I try and pick them up when they're that close together, I'm just going to end up with both of them at an awkward angle. And then I won't be able to stack them. So, let's try that. Oh, it's still not up, eh? So yeah, I decided 6 o'clock this morning, after looking at this stuff last night and thinking about it while I was playing a little Wreckfest. And I decided last night that I was going to flash the BIOS. So, I got up this morning, checked my email, did the usual stuff, and then went to Gigabyte's site, and I downloaded the, I don't really want that, the latest BIOS onto a flash drive. Plugged the flash drive in, went to the Gigabyte software for flashing your BIOS, because you can actually do it from within a Windows environment, or you can use what they call Q-Flash and do it without your machine even running, which might be safer, I don't know. But at any rate, in case you don't know, flashing your BIOS is both a good thing and a bad thing. And even the manufacturer's website will tell you, if you're not having issues, don't do it. You know, whereas everything else, like video card drivers, they'll always tell you, hey, if you don't have the latest one, you should have. With BIOSes, well, like I say, they try and, it's a scary enough thing that they tell you right out, if you don't have to, you probably shouldn't. But that's exactly the scenario I was in, is I was having an issue, and it is BIOS related. So, to throw a little more backstory in there, because that's what we need, yesterday afternoon, I mean, fall's coming. No matter how much we want to hang on to summer, we got to admit fall is well on its way here. And yesterday we had sort of our first strongish wind. Nothing like we'll get in November, but, you know, it kicked things up, it shook the trees, it made lots of, you know, yellow leaves fall to the earth and that sort of thing. It also made the power go out, which really sucks, because one thing that I really always liked about this particular part of town, which delightfully enough is called Cranberry, But one thing I always liked about living in Cranberry was that when I'd hear about power outages all over town, I'm slowly stacking them more and more and more to one side. Okay, that's got to stop or we're going to have some issues. Whenever I'd hear about power outages in town, we hadn't been affected. It would be storming outside to the point where I'd be worried about leaving the fridge running, leave alone a computer, and we wouldn't even get a flicker. Well, this summer, they went down our road here. Well, they did it all over town, actually. And basically what they did was replace every second power pole. Right? Apparently that's a better way to do it. I don't know. It's not my forte at all. But twice now, we've had a power outage. The first time, I'm not sure what happened. Probably somebody slammed into a pole or something. It wasn't out that long, and they came back on, and there was no real deal. Yesterday, it was out for a couple hours. But anyway, so this morning comes along. I get up, I check my email. I'm sitting here drinking my first coffee of the day. And I decide, okay, well, good a time as any before you decide to really get into things for the day here, especially on your PC. Let's get that flash done. Really? Oh, okay, I might actually be against the wall. There we go. Now, let's get you pushed forward a bit. Come on. Come on. Nice. So yeah, I prepped all the stuff. Like I said, I had the file. And, alright, I think for ease of... We're just gonna see if we can't... maybe roll this one off. There we go. Good stuff. Got everything ready. Went into the program, plugged in the flash drive, and hit start. And I kid you not, just as I hit start, the wind came up so hard it rattled every window in the apartment. Yeah. So I sat here very, very nervously for the next few minutes after that, waiting for it to finish its task. So, however, as you can see, I am playing, so I didn't brick my motherboard, which is what can happen, and that's why they, like I say, even the motherboard manufacturer would rather you just dealt with the old BIOS as long as you could. Because it will just outright turn your motherboard into never to be used again garbage. Now, it's not as bad as it used to be. There is still hope if that happens. And that's because, well, I guess manufacturers, or somewhere along the line it was decided it probably wasn't great to lose your entire computer doing a BIOS update. So now a lot of modern motherboards, mine included, have what they call a dual BIOS. And if something goes horribly wrong on a flash or any other reason, you actually have a second unbricked BIOS you can deal with. Right? So you can actually boot to that one, go back in, and, find the, hopefully you did back up your BIOS file, find that file, and go through the process again, but put the old one back in. Right, and then when you reboot, you can switch back to your original BIOS. So it's not quite, but then as horrible as it used to be, but it still can be, because you are relying on a you know, a software solution that basically can go, nah, there's something a little bit wrong with the parameters, I'm not doing this. You know, and it does happen, you know. Now, you can still just continue to boot off that second BIOS, luckily. But, like I say, you're now sitting there with a bricked chip on the board, and you've used up your one chance. So if anything ever happens again, yes, you're hooped. And you will buy a new motherboard. Now, I believe there are programmable flashing chips that you can purchase and program with your whatever BIOS it is you're trying to do, and sort of manually reflash a brick chip. But it's certainly not an everyday user kind of thing. And like I say, it's not like the average person's going to have one of those kicking around in their drawer. Because with any luck at all, as a user, you'd never have a use for it. And worst case scenario, you might have a use for it once. Now, as a technician or a shop owner, completely different. You know, you're eventually going to have somebody come to you with just that problem. Look, I flashed my BIOS, the power went out, or I didn't know what I was doing, or whatever, and I bricked my motherboard. So, like I say, luckily I didn't. So, yeah. Instead, I had to wait till I actually recorded an episode of this to find out that my recording software wasn't functioning properly. I'm keeping an eye on it. It is, so far, seems to be working. It's still showing that it's working anyway. No, you're off again. You're going to end up with the whole thing on some bizarre slant. Oh, that's as high as I can go. Well, that's good to know. Is that going to be high enough? Ooh. Yeah, it's almost like they planned it that way. Look at that. So I can stack 5 high. Interesting. So that's one more, and then what do I do with the rest? Well, I guess I'll have to stack them beside it. It'll still kind of be under cover of the little roof, because I got a lot more than one stack coming. And I suppose we can put one stack into our shed as well, at least a stack or two into the shed. But one more for there, and then we'll call it good, and we'll go see what we can do at the shed. No, other way, I want you level. There you go. Boom. Okay, let's get this one down there. So this is going to take a while. Okay, is this field clear? It is. Good. Because I think what we're going to do is hire some young buck to come in here and run a plow down it. While we do all this amazing baling. Yeah, I don't think the 60 series loader will fit this tractor very well. It would give me a little more height, but come in at quite an angle here. There we go. Just enough room to squeeze that out of there. Beautiful. Okay. Whoa. Let's grab our other buddy there. Get him set up. We'll do the head row here. because we're going to want one by the sheep's pen anyway. Avoid that wobble in the hill, because who knows what that'll end up with. Oh. Well, I have to pop this out of the way first. I'm not sure why I have an extra weight here. It's a big one too. I guess it's just so I can say I have one. Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say I guess it's so I can put a heavy load on the loader, but this won't take a loader. So it's just fine with what it's got, and should always be just fine with what it's got. Ha. Megabytes still counting up. 709, 711, 713. Yeah. No problem. We got just over 7 gigs. Yes, it's big files. Let me tell you, it's big files. Close to the edge without messing it up here. Okay. Let's lower that down. Ooh. I should have checked to make sure it wasn't on create fields first, because that could have been a bit of a nasty one. But luckily it wasn't, so we're good. We're good. It's all good. Don't need to be super big headlands. But we're going to run a couple of them. That way hopefully we won't have any issues. Because even the one row I had him do with the harvester, yeah, he didn't go all the way to the end because he was having too much thinking to do as to how to avoid slamming into the sheep pen, apparently. Something like that, at any rate. Alright, let's get you back down the hill and set up for a proper one. Man, I got past the angle and then that's it. You can't straighten back out. But I know that with these things, I try not to go past that point, but always end up doing it at some point or another. So there you go. A total noob move by the species. Alright, go plow my land, will you? Come on, do a good job. There you go. Yeah, you better let me out of the way. There you are. Jeez, I tell ya, friends. Yeah. No, I never thought about it. Just because the field's clear, is he gonna smack into bales and things when he gets here? Yeah, pretty much, eh? Is he already dragging one? Dude, let go my bale, man. Oh, don't do it, no! Whew. I thought we were going to end up watching one of our bales get dragged through the entire field there for a moment. Alright. Well, we'll definitely try and get the stuff that's near the edge here. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do, just for safety's sake, is push some of these guys along. There we go. Nice. I just, like I say, I'd hate to see them, you know, distributed over the length of that field there. Okay. Now, if I can get there in time, I know he'll wait for me. He may not mind banging into bales, but he's not going to want to bang into me. It's programmed that way. There we go. Alright, you should have lots of room to do what you need to do. And I'm going to head down the road here. Now I'm thinking this bale loader must be a lot lighter because I don't seem to have quite the upset tractor that I was getting before, you know. Okay. Where do we want you? Let's go the last booth. Perfect. Alright. But with that, guys, I think we're going to have to come back to this next episode, because we're still a bale or two away from having this particular job done. So I'm going to clear this one, and then that'll allow us to get it all ready. And we can go from there. Really, you're not going to cooperate, are you? I was hoping we could just use this to push them where we need them. But it's not looking so much like that. No. No, it doesn't work. It's too bad. So, I'm going to have to actually grab you, lift you, and then take you over there. Alright. So, hope everybody enjoyed the episode. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel out a bunch. And lordy, I could use the help, let me tell you. But till next time, take care of each other. How's he doing down there? Oh, good. Looks like that was enough headroom to get him turned around. Beautiful. Take care of each other, folks. And ciao for now.